Welcome to the Eden Energy Medicine Foundation's Questions and Answers webinar. My name is Michele Earnest, and I'm the Director of Education for InnerSource and Donna Eden's Energy Medicine Certification Program. And I'm also a Foundations teacher. It's truly my pleasure to welcome you to our time together today. And I also bring you greetings from Donna Eden and David Feinstein, our energy medicine pioneers and true leaders in the worldwide spread of Eden energy medicine. I'm especially pleased to welcome so many participants from all around the world. I was totally amazed when I noticed that we have over 500 people that responded to the invitation for this webinar to join us tonight. And that represents 35 countries. To me, that says that the scope of Eden energy medicine is truly global. So I welcome all of you from wherever you are to our webinar for today. Now, as I look down at my piece of paper, I see a few people who may be joining us, such as Jessie Palumbi from Australia. Hi, Jessie. Also, Maria Ostos from Canada. Hi, Maria. And Yvonne Edmonds from California. Welcome, Yvonne. And Chris Kayla from Argentina. Welcome, Chris. And welcome to all of you everywhere. It's really amazing that we get to have this opportunity to meet together like this. I'm coming from my living room. I'm not sure where you're sitting, but I hope you're comfortable and I hope you're ready to hear some really interesting information about Eden Energy Medicine and our program and the difference that it can make in your own life. We have an exciting and informative experience lined up for you today. And I really believe you're going to find your answers to all the questions that you have about how you can participate in Eden Energy Medicine training. We're going to start by having a brief introduction to the Foundation's program, and then we're going to answer many of your questions that you've already submitted. And we're going to give you the opportunity to submit questions as we go along today as well. Now, some of you have submitted health-related questions. Well, that's not the focus of the webinar today. As we go through talking about the Foundation's program and some of the curriculum and different things that you can expect to learn in the program, more than likely your health issue will be related to one of those, and we'll mention that to you. If you have more questions about Eden Energy Medicine, you can always go to our website and check our handout bank. You can always email us if you have questions about where to find a practitioner or anything else related to the website. So please be sure that you do that. Now, Eden Energy Medicine is all about healing, especially self-healing. In the Foundations program, we give you tools to do just that. We empower you to work effectively and easily with the energies of your own body so your body can actually work at healing itself. You know, Donna always says, your energy is as unique as your thumbprint. What you'll learn in Foundations is how to fine-tune energy work for your individual needs. And you know, that is really amazing. I came to Eden Energy Medicine because I had challenges with my own health. I had back problems, and I was probably going to have surgery. But I'm a nurse practitioner, and I know that you can have a lot of complications from surgery, and I really didn't want to go down that road. But Eden Energy Medicine helped me to heal, and I was so impressed. I went through the whole program. I actually became an advanced practitioner. But the tools I learned and used to heal myself are the same ones that you'll learn in our Foundations program. I want you to know that there's hope for you, for your family, your friends, your loved ones, no matter what health challenge that you're facing. Remember, your body wants to heal, and you can learn to help that process. So let's get started. I'd like to introduce two other people who are on the panel today. Sandy Roberts is the Regional Education Coordinator for Donna Eden's program, and Carrie Cento is the Director of IT for the program, and she's also a certification program graduate. So I'm going to start with Sandy. Sandy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Sandy Roberts, and like Michele said, I'm the Regional Education Coordinator. And in that role, I get to talk to all of the Foundations teachers around the world and help support them in running and teaching their classes. It's such a privilege to have that access to all the teachers and see what they're doing in their classes around the world. And not only do I support the Foundation's teachers, I too am a Foundation's teacher myself, where I love just teaching and watching those students blossom and grow over the year-long training. I discovered Donna while I was working on a master's program, and she was coming for a weekend training there. And I saw her and I was captivated. And the following month I was in Florida going to a 5-day program with Donna. And then it just snowballed after that until I just kept taking class after class until I too became an advanced practitioner, which has been an amazing journey along the way. And I have not been disappointed with how it's been able to keep me healthy and to help my family members along the way too. Especially recently, my elderly mother, who's 95, moved in with me, and it's been wonderful to have so many different tools to work with her on a daily basis with all the things that are going on in her world. So I thank Donna, and I thank the education program that's come along to help me have these tools. So I am so excited to be here with you tonight to answer your questions that you have about our Foundations classes.
Well, thank you, Sandy. We're really glad to have you here too, and we look forward to all the different things that you're going to tell us about the program tonight. I'd also like Carrie to introduce herself. Carrie, can you say a few words?
Sure. My name's Carrie Cento, and I'm the IT director for Donna. And I've been with Donna and InnerSource for 12 years. So I'm one of the left brain people on the staff, but like most people, I became a believer because I saw all these emails cross my desk of people saying this is working and it's helping my son or my mother or my grandma or myself. And I'm like, what is this stuff? So finally, I looked into it, and I actually went through the program too. So that's pretty fun. I went through Foundations in Portland, and I went through year 2, and not to become a practitioner, but just to help my family and my son and my friends. So I recommend it for anybody who wants to do it. It's really fabulous. I'm going to be fielding your questions and asking the questions of Michele and Sandy. I've got questions. Some of you emailed me, so we'll get to a lot of those. Some of you submitted them online. And I want to let you know that you can ask questions in your window by clicking on the Q&A button. For some people, it's on the bottom of your screen. For some, it's on the top. And we'll field your questions through there. So I guess I'll toss it back to Michele, and we'll get started pretty soon.
Thank you, Carrie. So glad to have you here. So nice to have somebody who's really good at IT to make sure that it goes as smoothly as it possibly can. So Carrie, we're glad to have you. I'm going to hand this over to Sandy now. Sandy's going to give you just a brief introduction to the Foundations program, tell you a little bit about the structure and what you can expect. Sandy?
Hello again. Just wanted to talk to you about Foundations, the structure of the program. It's a 1-year program of in-depth study of Eden Energy Medicine. It provides the foundation for students wanting to continue on to year 2 who want to become certified. But if that's not your path, suppose you are a professional who already has a practice. If you're a massage therapist or a nurse or a doctor, you can use the tools you learn in this year to integrate into your regular practice. And many people, like Carrie said, take this class for their own self-care and for help with their family and friends along the way. So it's a multi-pronged program. It can serve many purposes, and you'll find what your path is the more you look into it and you go through the program. But the classes itself consist of 26 hours of instruction time. That's divided for pretty much half didactic material and half practice time. So you get lots of time to ask questions, get your questions answered, to integrate from the mind that you've listened to things talking to you, and then to actually put it into your hands and practice all these techniques. So it's a real good mix of things. There are also continuing education hours are offered through various organizations, and you can find more at the website that talk about which ones are there and the cost and the hours that you receive for each of these. And the website, learnenergymedicine.com, will take you there also. So these classes meet usually 4 times a year, and they're usually 4 days long. And during this time, you'll have lots of time to meet these other students, to have talks with your teacher, and just really immerse yourself in the program and the community that gets involved. Now this year we have 2 special classes that are sort of extended class offerings. One of them might appeal to people who have extra time and don't want to travel more than twice during the year. So this one class in Texas meets for 2 weeks straight, and class 1 is offered 1 week. You have the weekend off, and there are activities at this particular location to do. And then the next week, class 2. And that starts in the late summer in August, and then there would be another 2-week time frame in January. So that might be a good opportunity for somebody traveling from overseas somewhere who only wanted to go twice during the year to make the travel. And then we have another class in Michigan that is sort of expanding the time, that it's a weekend class. So if you don't have a lot of weekdays that you can take off, it's a Saturday and Sunday, one weekend, part of the class 1 would be, and then another weekend, another Saturday and Sunday, you would finish up the class. So it's another way to approach this Foundations program. So after class, what happens after you get out of the classroom? You're going to go home, and integration happens. So there's a written integration time. You're going to answer some questions using your handout and from your experience that while you've been using those techniques for a couple of weeks, and then you can answer the questions. It's all open book. It's not a test that you're graded on. It's just a way to integrate into your mind what you've learned and put it down. And you also get the opportunity to demonstrate your skills to your Foundations teacher. It's a great time to show the competency that you have gained in the skills, and you get immediate feedback from your teacher. So these are great integration tools that we have to work with to continue your learning in between the classes. Each class is taught sequentially, with one class information used to build your skills so that you're now ready to move into the next class. So you hone your skills from the previous class, and you add on new skills in every single class. Well, this year, you have 51 classes to choose from around the world. We have classes in Australia, the UK, Canada, and in about 20 states of the United States. So you have lots of opportunities, lots of choices to choose from, and let's continue on. We'll answer some questions. I just wanted to give you a brief overview of how the structure of the Foundations program is. So thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. And before we move on to those questions, I just want to welcome anybody who might be a little bit later in signing in and joining the webinar. I'm Michele Earnest, the Director of Education for InnerSource, and I also oversee Donna Eden's Energy Medicine Certification Program. I'm also joined by Sandy Roberts, who was just speaking, who is our Regional Education Coordinator, and also Carrie Cento, who's the Director of our IT program and is also a Foundations and second year program graduate. So we have 3 people here tonight to answer your questions. We're going to give you lots of information. We're very, very pleased that you've chosen to join us tonight. We hope that we'll give you all the information that you need to understand what the Foundations program is all about and give you an idea of how it might work for you. So Carrie, we're going to come back to you and we can start answering some of those questions.
Great. Althea Mitchell posted a question in the Q&A option in the webinar, and she says, I'm interested in online classes. Is this possible to do online?
Sandy, would you like to address that one?
Sure, that's a great question. At this time, we only have on-site classes. We do not have online classes at this particular time, but there are a great number of classes to choose from, and maybe if the 4-weekend option doesn't work, maybe some of those longer 2-week options might work And that might be a good way to work into that.
And know that the online option is something that we are looking at very carefully at Donna Eden Energy Medicine, and we hope to be able to offer that in a few years, but we're not quite there yet. Carrie, what else do you have for us?
All right, this one, Elizabeth emailed me this one, and it's, since the majority of us do not see into the body to know where the blockages are, how do we know which exercise to do, either for ourselves or for others? What do we do first?
Well, that's a pretty amazing question. Sandy, how about if I take that one?
That's a good one.
Not all of us have Donna's abilities to see energy, but you know, Donna says that that's perfectly okay because she's devised a way for us to be able to dialogue with the energies of the body so that we can figure out where we have our own blocks and imbalances in the body. And we do that by using energy testing, which is a type of applied kinesiology. And it's very easy to learn. You can certainly learn it and you'll become very proficient at it. And you'll be able to test family and friends to look for specific blocks and imbalances in their energy systems. And we also teach you how to test yourself so that you can work on yourself. You know, the biggest thing that happened for me when I was healing my own issues from my back was that I worked on myself all of the time. I didn't have any practitioners that were around me that could help me with this. And I really wanted to heal and I really wanted to learn the information. So I practiced on myself. And the lovely thing about Eden Energy Medicine is that you can do that. We teach you how to do that in the foundations classes. And working on yourself is probably the best way to learn how to work on anybody else. And the nice side effect from that is you get a really nice healing that happens at the same time. Carrie?
Okay, this one's from Christina Del Piero in Vermont. And she'd like to know, let me just read it. I would like to know more about expectations and about the kind of student who tends to be successful and get the most out of the trainings. Some of the promotional materials seem to suggest that the training would be good for anyone who wants to know more about Eden Energy Medicine, while what I hear from those engaged in it makes it seem much more intense than that.
Sandy, that sounds like a good one for you.
Okay. Okay, well, the perfect student for this is the one who is interested and enthusiastic about learning and wanting to get greater help for themselves and their family and friends. That's the perfect environment for learning. So that's the kind of student that would want to come to a foundations class and will do well in the foundations class. And it's somebody who can spend maybe an hour to a week that practicing and rereading their material and just becoming more and more engaged in the program materials. And like Michele said, the more you work on yourself and use those techniques, the more you're going to learn and bring it more into your body. Your hands will remember it better, and you're going to have a much better success rate after you work on yourself and have a couple of people that enjoy having you do these techniques with them. It's a very fun type program to be involved in. It's not just all about, you got to sit there very serious faced. You will find that it is a very fun techniques to learn. You'll find you have a good time. You will find that you get great community with the other students as you are working back and forth on each other, and you're learning with and from each other as you go along. So again, the perfect student is the one who is just really excited and enthused and wants to learn more.
That's a great answer, Sandy. And I'd also like to mention here that this program is really designed for people that are working. We pride ourselves on having something that you can do while you're working full time, which is exactly what I did. You know, as I mentioned, I'm a nurse practitioner. I was working 5 days a week. I was really busy, but yet I was able to work with this program and make it work for me and learn the material without any difficulty. And you can do it too. Carrie, what else have we got?
All right, well, forgive me if I don't pronounce your name right, but it looks like Emily Noddle, and she asked, would you please talk a bit more specifically about what we will do between classes and how much of a time commitment to expect? Will we be doing healing work on others as part of the homework? And maybe you could dovetail this in with Meredith Brown's question, who says she'll be traveling out of town to go to the classes, so she's also wondering what happens in between classes. So either one of you could field that one, that would be great.
Well, Sandy, you're our person who knows all the specifics here, so I'm going to give you that one.
Okay. In between classes, you have the opportunity to have a written competency and a demonstration competency. So about 3 weeks after the first class, after each class, you will have the time to write your written competency. And this is just a matter of going through the handouts and rereading them, applying these to yourself especially and to others, and then writing about how you integrated what you learned. This is to put some of that learning into your head, from your hands into your head, and really understanding it. So that's the written part of it. And then the other part is the demonstration techniques. And you will demonstrate to your teacher the techniques that you learned through that particular class. And this is done over the internet, so you don't have to be in the same town where your class took place or where your teacher is. So the great thing about this internet is that we don't have to be in the exact same place, and you can, it's just a 1 hour demonstration, and this is a great time for the teacher to give you feedback on your skill demonstration right then and there, and the teacher also gives you feedback on your written competency to help give you better understanding of the materials in there. So we support you throughout the whole time. We're sitting here 3 weeks, there's a written, 6 weeks, there's a demonstration, and then a little practice time, and then you're back in class learning more and new things.
Great answer, Sandy. And we also, starting this year, are going to be giving you a skills list as well. So really easy way for you to have a quick reference to everything that you learned in the class, a nice little chart where you can keep track of when you practice the different skills, and also to make a note if you're having a problem with a certain thing, so that you can email your foundations teacher or bring it up at the next class. So the whole class is structured to really support you every way that we can, and all of the foundations teachers are committed to your success. So most of our students tell us it's a wonderful experience, and having gone through the whole program myself, I can vouch for that. Carrie?
Yeah, and I'd like to chime in just as having been through it. I remember the written competency test used to, I was nervous about it, or the demo, but the teachers are so, everybody wants you to do well. So it's not really like a test, it's just like, hey, am I doing this right? And they tweak it. It's a very easy thing. So even though it sounds like something that might be intense, it's really not. So everyone wants you to succeed, and that's Donna's whole model, right? Donna's really into wanting, you know, she's not into tests and failing, and it's all into, let's make the best healers and get you in touch with yourself. So no worries about that. All right, Mark Williams, he asked, I'm interested in enrolling in a foundations course that is within a car drive away. However, I can only make 2 or 3 or 4 of the days. Is it possible to make up a class by attending a class in an alternate location?
Sandy, that's another good one for you.
Okay. Carrie, can you help me understand that question? Is it that he can only make a couple of each of the classes, or each of the special classes within? Is there days he can't make it?
He says he can only make 2 or 3 or 4 of the days within a car drive, so he'd have to go to another location for some of the classes on the alternate days. So can you take classes in one location and some in another location, or do you have to take them all with the same teacher?
Okay, good. Okay, let me understand that. So you can, you can't split classes. Let's say you're going to class 1, and you can only make 2 days of a class in, let's say in New York, and then you want to go to New Jersey for the other 2 days of the class. That's not an ideal kind of situation, because different things will be taught at different time frames. So you need to be in the same class, like say class 1 with the same teacher. And we also like you to stay with that same teacher throughout the whole foundations. We do allow for one time, to miss one class. And then you can either, there's 2 different things you can do. One of them is you can be not there and take it as a DVD option, where you also watch a DVD in place of going into the classroom, and you do the written and the demonstration. The other option is to take it with another teacher in another location for that particular class. And we like you to only do that one time during the foundations year. so that you stay with the same teacher and the same students throughout. But there is that particular option of being able to go to another class, taking it, and you would still go back to your home, what we call your home teacher, to do your written and your demonstration with that home teacher. But you can go and take it with somewhere else. Okay, thank you for that great question.
That was a good synopsis on how to deal with that, Sandy. And I'd just like to reiterate that we really do like people as much as possible to stay with their original foundations class, because you do bond with the other students there, you develop a relationship with the teacher, and you sort of adapt to one particular teacher's teaching styles. So that's why we say that you can only miss one class, and you can either do that as Sandy said, as the missing intersource activity, which we call an MIA, or taking a class in another location for one class. And that's really to facilitate your learning in the best way possible. Carrie?
All right. Yvonne sent this to me in email, and she says, I was interested to know a good daily thing one should do beyond the 5-minute routine to help keep MS from flaring up.
Well, I think when you're dealing with MS, Yvonne, that's an autoimmune issue. And autoimmune issues are addressed particularly in our second foundations class, where we talk about the relationship of two traditional Chinese meridians called triple warmer and spleen. Now, meridians, if you're not familiar with that term, those are just energy pathways. They're ways that energy moves in the body, and they have a prescribed pattern in the way that they flow. And that comes from traditional Chinese medicine. Those two particular meridians that I talked about, the triple warmer meridian and the spleen meridian, have a lot to do with the immune system and the body's ability to self-heal. So when working with MS, one of the first things you want to do is develop a nice relationship with triple warmer and spleen. So doing something called the triple warmer spleen hug would be a great way to work with that. And that's simply taking one hand and placing it over right above the elbow on the other arm, and then taking the first hand and putting it on the side of the rib cage and just holding that. That's a great way to work with triple warmer and spleen, and it also really helps you to relax, which is not a bad benefit at all. So that can be a great help for working with illnesses like MS.
Excellent. So Julia is asking us, how much material is in the foundations course that's not covered in any of Donna or David's books?
Oh, wow. Well, I'm going to jump into that one because there's a lot. Donna and David wrote the original energy medicine book back in 1998. It was revised in either 2007 or 2008. I can't quite remember which one it was there. And they added a few more things to that, but that is basic techniques. You learn a lot from that, and certainly that's a great way to start your own healing process with energy medicine. But when you come to the foundations classes, you go a whole lot deeper. You know, in the book, you can only talk about a technique so much, but when you're in a place where you can actually have a teacher discuss it and demonstrate it and go into more of the detail behind it, you get a much richer experience. So while the books are excellent, and I highly recommend them, Foundations will take you deeper. It's the next step if you really want to learn how to make this work for you. Great question.
Here's a question that we received. I don't know who it's from, but are these classes all work and no play? I don't know who wants to take that one, but
Sandy, that's a good one for you.
Okay, that's a great question. And I love answering that kind of question because I consider these classes, the work and play, rolled in together into one thing. Every teacher will have a different style and will use a variety of techniques to teach the information. So it's not going to necessarily be the exact same techniques using them because every teacher, again, is as unique as their thumbprints, as unique as you are, and they're going to use different things. Carrie, do you have some pictures to show us of some of the fun things that we might be doing in these classes?
Yes, let me get that. See if I
can.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, let's get the slideshow bigger. Okay.
There we
go. So we got a nice big on the floor model of the 5 rhythms here. So we talk about 5 rhythms, or the 5 elements as traditionally called in Chinese medicine. And this is just a giant floor model so that you can walk it. You can learn about how to, we work with the meridians. We learn ways to sedate and to strengthen their meridians. And this is a really great model to figure out how that process works. So this is one hands-on technique that we use in the classroom. Carrie, would you like to move to a next picture?
Yes.
And this is just a class full of happy people after they had made their little, what we call their neurovascular heads. What's really wonderful about this is that they make the heads using stickers and all sorts of decorating them in their own special way. But this teaches them a technique that they hand movements to hold on the head so that they can work on another person to really calm and relax their nervous system and get people to just take out some of the stress of their life. So this is a wonderful tool that they can go home and practice on these heads when they don't have a real live head to work with. And here's two people having a really fun time learning to trace the meridians. The meridians are energy pathways that we have in our body, and we learn to trace them. And we sometimes, in this particular class, they were using yarn to learn the pathway that the meridian takes. And they also learned how the meridian connects with each other. So we've got two meridians here just connected together, and they look like they're having a really fun time doing that. And it's just not all little gimmicky kinds of things to play with. Also, you're going to have a lot of time to actually do hands-on practicing with each other. And this is a lovely studio here where people and the teacher is right there to give you hands-on information on how things are going, to tweak your little techniques a little bit as you're going along. And we have a variety of students, and it looks like they even got some food on the side there. So again, it's part of the whole process. Is you've got camaraderie, you've got friendship, you've got practice time, and you've got fun activities to do. So it's not just all work and no play. It's a combination.
That was awesome, Sandy. Thank you so much for both the pictures and the descriptions of what was going on there. You know, sometimes Sandy Roberts and I will teach together in foundations classes, and it becomes really fun to see what are the creative ways that we can think of to help people really gel this knowledge into their minds and be able to use it in very practical ways. So thank you, Sandy, for sharing your pictures of all those really cool things that you do in your classes. Carrie, where do you want to go now?
How about this one? How do you recruit friends and family to help with practice sessions between classes?
Well, when I was going through the program, it really wasn't a problem, because as soon as I told people that I needed people to practice on, and this was energy work that I was doing, it would make them feel really good, I had them lining up. You know, we always assume sometimes that people aren't going to want us to practice on them because they don't necessarily know what the work is, but you give them just a little taste of it by holding some of those neurovascular points that Sandy was just mentioning on those heads that we saw there, and let them feel how the energy actually works, and you're not going to have a problem getting people to work on.
All right, and this one from the online Q&A, are the books included with the class, or must you purchase them ahead of time?
Well, the handouts are included with the class. You get a nice folder every time with a specific handout for each class, and that's part of your tuition. We do have some prerequisites for materials that we'd like you to purchase ahead of time so that you have a good foundational base. Sandy, would you like to list what those are and let people know?
Sure, there's two books. One of them is the Energy Medicine book that Donna wrote with David. And then there's also, David wrote a book on the ethics. It's an ethics handbook, and that one's the required one also. And there's two DVDs. One of them is the 9 energy systems, and the other DVD is the Energies of Love with David and Donna in there. So just great information to have anyway to just take your learning to another level.
And our foundation students do get 30% off on those materials that are required for foundations. So a little extra money isn't a bad thing either. All right, Carrie, what's next?
Does the program help you develop the ability to see energy?
Well, that's a really good question. People ask that a lot. And as Donna will say, there are many ways to work with energy. Not all of them involve seeing them, right? Because we are all different in how we perceive energy. Some people will see energy, some people will feel it, some people will smell it or taste it or hear it. Because we're all different, we all have a sensory style that will develop as we work with the energy. Now, what I have found, and I'm not a person who sees energy a whole lot, is that since I have been working with energy, though, every once in a while I do see things. I do see colors, or I do see shapes, or different things that will just show up when I'm working very spontaneously. But I'm not looking for them, because what I have found with my particular sensory type is I really feel the energy. I can put my hands over the body and I can almost tell where there's blocks and imbalances just by putting my hands there. And I love that. So being able to see it, well, that might be a nice thing to be able to do. And of course, everyone wants to be like Donna. Donna will also say that we all develop our own styles and they're perfect for each one of us. What else, Carrie?
Priya is asking, can energy medicine be used in conjunction with homeopathy or essential oils, Bach flower essences, and other systems like acupressure, acupuncture? And then that kind of ties in with a question from Emily Noddle about cellular expansion and Reiki. So how does it work with other modalities, I guess, is the general question.
Well, Sandy, you want to take that one, or you want me to do it?
Why don't you take that one, Michelle?
Well, I really love the fact that energy medicine works so well with so many other things. You know, it is not a replacement necessarily for all of those other things, but it is a complement to it. And that's what I tell people when I go and talk to healthcare professionals too. It's not choosing between, you know, using energy medicine and not using anything else. It's seeing how we can blend them together, because all these different modalities become even more powerful when they're used together in a way that really allows you to experience the movement of energy using different things. So yes, you can definitely use energy medicine with essential oils. You can use it with Bach flower essences. You can use it with homeopathy. You can use it with Reiki. It really isn't limited in what you do with it, because it does work so nicely with many, many other things. So not a problem there.
Great. All right, another one from the online Q&A is, I would like to help someone that is unable to think of words, therefore unable to talk much. Would energy medicine help with that?
Well, energy medicine can do all sorts of things in helping the nervous system. You know, if people have strokes, if you have a stroke, say on the right side of the body, it's the left side of the body that's affected. And that's because of crossover energies. So many times when people are having difficulty with neurological issues, it can be traced down to a difficulty in the energies crossing. And that's called a homolateral condition. And energy medicine can really be extremely helpful with that. But not just with the homolateral energies, though that certainly is a place to start. You can also work with specific meridians, such as the bladder meridian, which works with the nervous system. And there are many other techniques, many of which you'll learn in the Foundations program, that are extremely helpful in working with people that are having issues like that. And remember, as Donna says, everybody's energy is different, right? So we have to find what works for us. And that's why we energy test to see where the blocks and imbalances are for each person. So what may work for me would be different than what may work for you. And that's the whole basis of energy medicine.
All right, next question from Connie Keene. Is there a way to get the instruction that does not take 2 years? I've been an energy worker for 22 years and would like to get the certification in less time if possible.
Sandy, you want to jump on that one?
Sure. Because our energy classes are taught very sequentially and everything sort of builds on the other, it's really hard to jump into this in the middle of it somewhere, because there's just so much interaction that happens between each of these classes. So we want everybody to have a real great, good basis, firm foundation in our training. So we like for people to go through the program from class 1 up to either class 4 for the foundations, or up through class 8 to become a certified practitioner. So at this time, there's no way to just sort of jump in and test out of classes, because there's so many little nuances in each of the classes. So it's hard to make sure that you have everything along the way. Michelle, you want to add anything to that?
Well, I would just say that we've had this question from a lot of people in the past, and those people who do choose to then come to the program anyway always tell us afterwards, I'm so glad I did this. I learned so many things that I didn't know before. And not only did it make me better at what I knew before, but it gave me so many new skills that I could add to it. So taking the program, while it may seem like a lot of time to do it, it goes by really quickly, and you will definitely add to what you know. So I think it's worth it.
Okay, Carrie Parton asks, what can be done about leaky gut and parasites? How do we energize the major organs and hormones for the leaky gut caused by stress?
Sandy, you want to jump on that?
Oh, stress. I mean, that's a biggie in our society, and there are lots of things that we do and teach in our foundations program to work with stress. And one of them is the neurovasculars that we saw with those styrofoam heads. So if we just simply put one hand on the forehead and another one either behind the head or on top of the head, whatever feels comfortable, and hold this can help with our stress. And when we work with our stress and getting that under control, then more of the meridians come on board and more healing can happen and help with that leaky gut syndrome. But we don't know for sure. We have to really look at the pieces of it and do the energy testing and follow a tracking method. But yes, there's so many techniques that we teach, and you will learn and experience. So you just got to try all these things to see what might help that particular leaky gut situation. So I encourage you to come on.
Sandy, those were great answers, and I think the stress part of this is so important to consider. You know, the Center for Disease Control in Atlanta here in the United States, which sort of tracks the health of the nation, different things, actually says that 90% of illnesses they believe are stress-related. And when you kind of think about that, it gives you a different way of thinking about what may be going on with you. And since we know that emotions are what Donna calls the currency of the energy system, emotions that tend to get compartmentalized or stuck in different parts of our body, if they're there long enough, it causes a disruption of the energy flow. It can actually can be the precursor of some illnesses. So learning to work with emotions is a huge thing in moving energy. And Eden Energy Medicine has so many techniques to help you work with emotions and help you to process stress as well. But Sandy made a really good point in here, and I hope that you heard it. And so I'm going to say it again. Everybody is different. So it's not like you can say there's a prescription for working with somebody with leaky gut. There's not a certain thing that you always do for working with that. You have to go in and see what's going on with the blocks and imbalances in the body. You have to figure out where your body is having problems, where your body needs a little tune-up, and then apply the corrections that will help the energy to move best for you. And that's the wonderful thing about energy testing. It just makes it so possible to do that. And it makes the tunings, makes the healing so easily fine-tuned to really be effective for individual people. So while we may say, oh yes, we would do this or we would do that, it all comes down to what exactly your body needs. And Eden Energy Medicine can teach you to do that. And the foundations classes are the place to get the tools.
From Mark Williams, he just asked, are any energy psychology techniques like EFT mixed into the foundations course?
Oh, I wish we had a room for that. That would be great. I think EFT is a wonderful technique, and David Feinstein, of course, does a lot with that, and watching David in action is always a real treat to be able to do that. We don't specifically have EFT in the Foundations program. We are thinking about adding some of it to our second year in Phoenix to the certification program. But even though it is a wonderful technique and we highly recommend it, and many of our practitioners are trained in it, it is not something that at this time is included in the Foundations program. Great question, though, and certainly something to keep in mind for later.
All right, and from Rosanna Ladd, I'm interested in knowing if you offer classes in new areas of Indiana. Bloomington is the closest to me, but it's too far away at this time.
Sandy?
Well, right now with the classes, we don't have anything in Indiana, but we do have classes like in Illinois. I'm trying to think what else is close by. But the best thing to do is to go onto the Foundation's website, and you can see where there are classes offered. You might consider, if you don't want to, you only want to travel twice, you might want to consider one of the Texas type class and do that, or maybe find another location where you'd like to visit and spend the weekend going there and finding the teacher that really appeals to you and seeing what might be able to be worked out in that area. So there are options. It's just not anything close to you at this point in time, but perhaps in another year or so, that will be, and maybe you will be the practitioner that goes on to become the teacher to bring it in to Indiana.
Yes, we would love to have classes in every town, wouldn't we, Sandy? But until we get more practitioners into our ranks and people who want to teach this, we're still in that process of having that develop. But just as Sandy said, I would really encourage you to look for something that's close by. Maybe it's within a day's drive and you can make it a weekend, and I think you'll find it worth your time.
Would you like me to show the Foundations class map?
That would be a great thing to do.
Great.
Go ahead and do that.
So can you all see my screen?
Yes.
So here is the class map. And if you go to foundations.innersource.net, or even if you go to learnenergymedicine.com, you can click on the Foundations link and you'll see here's where all the classes are. And all these stars are clickable. So let's just for kicks go to the Illinois one. If you click on Illinois, you can see that there's four, the classes are sequential, 4 classes. And if you click on the link, you'll get to that particular class and you can see how they want you to register. You register directly with your Foundations teacher. So to do that, you'd go to foundations.innersource.net. And you'll get to this great map. And that's pretty helpful. If you want to learn other things, you can learn some more details and things about the course on this menu. And a little bit of, that's our Foundations class in Europe and some other techniques. So I just wanted to show that to people in case they weren't quite aware of where the locations were. We do have a nice map all laid out that you can go check.
That's great, Carrie. Thank you for showing us that and showing us how to use it. There's also a lot of information on the website about the Foundations classes. Lots of information about the curriculum. There's an FAQ about different aspects of the program. So I highly encourage you to go and look around there, nose around, find the information that you need on there. And if you don't find what you need, then you can email us and we'll be sure to get the answers to you. What else have we got, Carrie?
All right. Well, from an anonymous viewer on our Q&A, he or she asks, do you start where the client has pain, or how do you know where to start with a person's issues? I've had some with hammer toes. Can they be reversed if they've had hammer toes for a while? Calluses on the bottom of the feet?
Well, those are all really good questions. And, where you start with the person depends on what's going on with the person. One of the things that you'll learn in Foundations is how to do those kinds of assessments, how to look at the person's energies and determine what are the first things that need to be tweaked. One of the things that Donna says that I absolutely love hearing her say is that in Eden Energy Medicine, the energy is both the patient and the medicine. So whatever is the energy system that needs to be balanced first is the one that will show up, and that's the one that you'll balance. And then that corrected energy goes back into the body and actually becomes the medicine for the body. One thing I love when I'm working on a client is that I'll be testing things and I'll see something's out and I'll make a correction. And before I can go back and test again, something else has fixed itself because the energy has gone inside and has actually become the medicine for the body, which is why we say that all healing is self-healing. The body knows what it needs. It knows how to get there. We just have to sometimes give it a little tweak or a little push in a certain direction, and the energy flows will then take it where it needs to go. As far as those specific conditions like hammer toes and calluses, I would say that there's possibilities of everything happening with energy work. It just depends on how long you live and how hard you want to work.
All right. Another question from the Q&A window is, I saw a demonstration when someone walked up to the front of the room and tested strong, then asked to walk forward and tested weak. They were testing for homolateral. Why would you get 2 different results?
Sandy, do you want to jump on that?
Sure. They walked forward and they were strong, and they walked backwards and they were weak. So we're asking the body, we're looking at how the meridians, is this what your question was?
No, so they said they walked up to the front of the room and tested strong, and then asked to walk forward and tested weak.
Oh, we walked forward and tested weak. Okay, right. And they walked, okay. So anyway, we were looking at how the meridians are running. We're looking to see how the meridians are running in a forward way. So by walking forward, we were trying to find out, asking the body, is this the right way that we're walking forward? How does the body feel? And the body said, I'm not resonating with that particular response of walking forward. So it's got a weak response. So it's just telling the body that it needs to be, that's when we would thump our K27, which are those little nodules right under the collarbones, and then getting the kidney meridian running and getting all the other meridians on board to run forward. You'd probably see a change, and then you would walk forward and get strong, and walk backwards would then be weak, because walking forward gave the body strength, and walking backwards was the time of not resonating and not being part of what we wanted the body to do.
Great, Sandy. That was a great answer. I'd like to add to that, I think the person mentioned in there, Carrie, that was testing for homolateral. But that's not actually a test for homolateral. A homolateral test looks at whether or not the body's energies are crossing over, and the crossover patterns that we mentioned just a little while ago. And that's a different test. So the test where the person walks forward or walk backwards has to do with whether or not the energy flows are going forward in the meridians or they're going backwards. And Sandy just described that. The test that that we do for that is the walking forward and backwards. And then the correction is tapping on your K27 points. So if you can find your collarbones, find the little bumps on your collarbone and slide down to the first little squishy space that you feel underneath there. And that's your K27 point. It's called the K27 point because it's the 27th point on the kidney meridian. It's the end of the kidney meridian. So to get the energies running forward again, you tap. So you can just take your fingers and you can tap on that. Using a little bit of firm tapping on there, that just feels really good to me. This is a great thing to do to get your energies going, say in the middle part of the afternoon when you're really tired and you just need a little boost. I also teach it to children to do before they take a test because it makes them a little bit sharper when they go to answer all those questions. So having your energies running forward in your meridians is really, really important, and tapping on K27 is a great way to make sure that happens. Great question. Great answer too, Sandy. Thank you.
All right, well, we're winding down on the questions here, so we're doing a great job getting to them. I probably have 2 left, so if anybody wants to ask another one before we close down, go ahead and pop it into the Q&A. This question is, what prerequisites do I need before I can attend the Foundations class?
Well, lucky for you, there aren't any, other than an enthusiastic attitude. We want people to really come with this with the idea that they can absolutely do this and they're so interested in it, and it is that enthusiasm that we are looking for. There are no prerequisites to this class other than wanting to do it, other than wanting to invest yourself in learning these techniques and working on your own energy systems and the energy systems of others. So come and join us.
And do you have any classes in Spanish?
Oh, I wish we did at this point, but we don't. So we're working on having more classes available in different languages. We have some of our more introductory classes, such as EM 101 and 102, that are taught by different practitioners around the world. They may be available in different languages, but if you're a Spanish speaker, we want you to come through the program and become a teacher, and then you can do our classes for us in Spanish, which would be just awesome. The Energy Medicine book, however, is in Spanish, and that can be purchased to help you read through the techniques and work on yourself.
Great. I've watched a lot of Donna's DVDs and YouTube videos and have learned a lot about energy medicine. What will I get out of the Foundations class that I can't learn from these videos?
Oh boy, you're going to get a lot out of the Foundations class that you can't learn in the videos. Donna does a great job in the video. She teaches so many different things, and that's just awesome. But in the Foundations classes, you're going to have the opportunity to go even deeper. You're going to learn more of the whys and wherefores and what you can do to treat different energy imbalances in the body. So it's depth. It's depth and richness, and that's what you're going to get in Foundations. Not that you don't get that in the DVDs for certain things too, but having a real curriculum laid out for you that you can really go deeper in certain things and ask your questions. Nothing replaces that one-on-one, and that's what Foundations is so very good at.
Great. Laura is asking us about menstrual cramps.
Oh, Laura, yeah, menstrual cramps. I know, I've been there. Not recently, I have to say, but a while ago I was. Menstrual cramps, hormone issues in general are one of the big things that women seek health care for. And Eden Energy Medicine has a lot to do to help working with hormones. In your first year, you'll learn some basic balancing techniques just for the body in general. And when you get the body balanced in general, many things come into alignment. The hormones that are responsible for body balance, the primary ones are adrenaline and cortisol and insulin. And when you balance just those three hormones, pretty much everything else will come into balance, including the specific hormones that are related to menstrual issues in women. And working with those specific hormones, such as adrenaline and cortisol, you work by working with the triple warmer and spleen meridians, and also with insulin regulation. So there you go. In class 2 of the Foundations program, you're going to learn how to do that. And so the menstrual cramps, they could be a thing of the past. Yay!
I'll second that. All right. Last question, I think, is this will be our last question for the evening. We're about almost at an hour. And this one is, I have a knee injury. I've been having trouble healing completely. Can you suggest a way to work with that, please?
Sandy, you want to talk a little bit about pain techniques?
Oh, there are so many pain techniques, and you'll learn these, and I believe it's in class 3. You're going to learn a lot of different pain techniques. So there are things that you can do, just simply holding the pain area and holding the neurovasculars on the front of the head can sort of help to release some of that pain. But there are many, many techniques that we have. And also, again, every pain is different. Every person is different. And you're going to have to try a lot of sometimes different things, and do some energy testing around it. We have things like zone tapping, where you tap a certain zone of the body, find where the pain is, and tap the zone of it. We have things like clearing over top of there, pain siphoning, where you can siphon out the pain. They're just a myriad of techniques that you will learn to be able to use to help to figure out what's going to help that knee pain. Everyone is different, and it's all great stuff. You're going to have a lot of fun learning those.
I'd like to just add one thing to that. Carrie, you have your hand up. Do you need to say something?
Yeah, because people are asking a few more questions, and I thought if we had time, maybe we can, even though I said it was the last one, maybe we could add a few more in. So
we can definitely add a few more in. I'd like to just piggyback onto Sandy's answer just really quickly here. One of my favorite techniques for dealing with pain is just to do counterclockwise circles over the pain. When you go in a counterclockwise direction, it actually helps to pull out stagnant energy, and pain is stagnant energy. It's energy that's not moving well through a specific area. So doing nice little counterclockwise circles is a great way to help that stagnant energy to move out. The other thing that's one of my favorite techniques is to do figure eights over the area of pain. Just trace a figure eight with your hand or with your finger. Do it slow, do it fast, kind of play with it and see what feels best to you and see how it works. It's really getting to know what your pain is and what it wants. And part of what it wants definitely is to move out of there. So using techniques that will help it do that is really, really helpful.
excellent. Laura's just following up to ask, are there any other techniques for working with kids and the stress they have in school, dealing with teachers who have scrambled energy? And if I may just pipe in on that one, because I have a 12-year-old who's very nervous at school, and he does the Wayne Cook before tests. And it's kind of fun because it's like our little secret. It's our little secret, right? He doesn't do it, you know, he does this one where it's kind of more on the sly. And it's really fun for us to do that. You know, I'll ask him if he did, and he goes, yeah. And it's kind of like a secret little ninja thing he does that gives him this extra power. So I just wanted to pipe in that I do that with him, and it works. So I'll pass it over to you guys, but that's kind of fun.
Yeah, I think the Wayne Cook is an excellent technique to use with kids, and you can find more information about how to do that in any of Donna's books where she talks about doing that. It's a little hard to show on the screen because we have to sort of show the whole body to be able to do it, but it is a very effective technique for helping to unscramble the energies so that you can think more clearly and deal with an overwhelmed situation. There are lots of techniques for working with children, and Sandy and I both work with children. And Sandy, a couple of my favorite techniques are doing the blowout, which is helping the body to release energy. It's also called expelling the venom, and you can find that in the Energy Medicine book. I also like to have them do hookups, where you put one finger in the belly button and the other finger up here on the third eye area and kind of push in and up a little bit. It helps the energies to connect in the body in a way that helps everything just make a little bit more sense. What else do you like to do, Sandy?
I like homolateral, especially the cross crossing over with kids because they just like to just reach across and come pull it all the way down and just pull it across a couple of times on each side. And they can have fun with this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just go around and even go down their body and cross at the knees and cross on down. And if you want to play a game, you can do head and shoulders, knees and toes by crossing back and forth with kids. Make it fun, make it happy, and they will do it.
Awesome. And you know, one of Donna's daughters, Tanya, is coming out with a book about energy medicine for children, and we're hoping to see that later on this year. So that'll be a great resource for us as well, and we look forward to that. But working with kids is great. Kids love energy work. They love the opportunity to be able to work with their energies. And since they don't have preconceived ideas about whether this is going to work or not, they're great people to work with. So definitely work with kids.
All right, and this person asks, if I look at the location, she joined or he joined a little bit late, but if they look at the location on the map, it shows 4 classes and each class is $900. Are all of the classes supplementary to at-home or online work, or are all the classes required? So they're trying to get an idea of how much time away from home and what is the actual cost.
Sandy, do you want to jump on that one?
Yes, I will take that question. All 4 classes are required to get to finishing up the Foundations program, and each class costs $995 for each class. Now, the first class, we ask you to have a $300 deposit down, and that's applied to class 4, so that at class 4, you're only paying $695. But each of them are sequentially done. Now, if you started to take the program this year and you completed 1 and 2, and then just something happened and you couldn't complete 3 and 4 this year, you can come back next year and take classes 3 and 4. So as long as you have completed everything in class 1 and class 2, that happens sometimes with people's lives. So anything else we want to add, Michelle, on that?
No, I think that pretty much covers it, Sandy. Thank you. Carrie, what else you want to
All right. Is there eating energy medicine help for kids with autism?
Sandy, you want to go with that one?
Autism is a very different kinds of thing. Again, it's so different and unique with each child as to what responds to autism. But yes, so many things when we track the energies and we try to find out what's going on. I find a lot of times it's grounding and aura type work, which helps them stay more grounded. It helps them keep their little spacesuit around them. And that, again, we teach that in our program too about grounding. You learn grounding in the very first class, ways to ground yourself, and about the aura. And again, the hookup that Michelle showed you is another great thing for autistic kids. And a lot of them do really love to do this, but sometimes it's too much, it's too close in the body, and sometimes you have to do it out in the field as opposed to right up against them. So again, lots of techniques that we can use, but again, every child is going to be uniquely different, and we have to go with their particular energies and work with them.
And that was a great answer, Sandy, but I do want to pull us back a little bit. I know people have lots of concerns about specific health conditions, and everybody wants, to find a technique that will make their particular condition better, or the condition of a loved one. But the focus of this call is to help you find ways that you can work with your own energies. And in doing the Foundations classes, you're going to find that. You're going to find tools that are going to help you deal with all of these different situations that you've brought up and mentioned. And they're all really important, but there's not a cookie cutter answer. There's not one specific answer that's going to work for every person and their health issue. And so learning how to energy test, learning how to figure out this dialogue that's going on with the body's energy so you can fine tune the corrections that need to be made for the best self-healing is what this is all about. So that's one of the things I really love most about the Foundations classes, is that we give you the tools that you can do that. The body, remember, the body wants to heal. It wants to heal. It wants to get back to wholeness. And all it needs is a little push and a little tweak to get it on its road to healing. So once again, it's all unique.
Excellent. So how about this? We'll make this the last question, and of course it's something I'll have trouble pronouncing, but plantar fasciitis, does energy medicine help with that, and in which class would you learn about that for Foundations?
Plantar fasciitis has to do with the energy movement in the foot. So there's many things you would learn to do that. I had the unfortunate experience of having plantar fasciitis twice in my life, once in each foot, and it lasted for about a year. This was before I knew about energy medicine. Boy, do I wish I knew about it when I had it. Plantar fasciitis is just stuck energy in the foot and it's not moving well. So there are different meridians that can be related to that. But one of the best things you can do right now is something you learn in the very first class, which is to work with the energies in the feet by doing some massaging of the foot between the gates, between the bones on the top of the foot, using a firm downward pressure going down towards the toes. And also taking a stainless steel spoon and spooning the bottom of your foot. As silly as that sounds, and believe me, it sounded silly when I first learned it, that actually affects the polarity on the bottom of the foot because we're just big electromagnetic beings. And if you're not pulling in the energy from the earth the way that you need to, the energy flows in the body can't work the way that they need to. So fixing polarity on the bottom of the foot helps you to ground, helps the energy in the feet to move better, and it is so helpful for things like plantar fasciitis. Good question.
Great. Well, that's it for the questions. So I'll turn it over to you all and close it up, I guess.
Well, thank you, Carrie. You know, it has been an amazing evening for all of us being able to answer your questions and being able to share the information about the Foundation's program. This program is really something that changed my life. You know, it gave me back my health in a way that I hadn't been able to have it before. And it gave me tools that I felt so self-empowered using. It wasn't a prescription that someone had to give me. It wasn't a procedure that I had to go have. It was something I could work on myself, that I could figure out myself, and I could actually help my body to heal. Energy medicine is empowering. It gives your power back to you so that you can figure out what your own energy needs are, and then you can find techniques to make it all better. I really appreciate you being with us here tonight. And I really appreciate the opportunity for all of us, for Sandy, Carrie, and myself, to be able to represent Donna and David, to be able to represent this amazing work and to be spokesmen and spokeswomen for the program here. And it is an honor for us to be able to do that. But the bigger honor is being able to interact with you and to answer your questions and to see what you're thinking about and where you want to go with this. And also to encourage you to take that step, reach out, find a way to make the energy work for you, whether it's reading a book, watching a DVD, or taking a class. And if the Foundation's classes are calling to you and you really want to go into that depth and you really want to find out how to work with your system in a way that will be so self-empowering to help you really work with the healing that you so want to have in your body, this is the way to do it. It's definitely the way to do it. So I hope you'll join us. Thank you so very much, and blessings to all of you. Good night.